So next up is this working group. Are you still calling yourself?
Yes, we are.
We are on PA.
Like the beer.
Here. And consists of Condit, Brygger Määttänen and Heikkilä. Outi is an actor, performance maker and self-professed pedestrian cyborg, currently at the final stages of her arts doctorate in performing arts here in Uniarts. Brygger is a poet, writer and teacher interested in visual, conceptual, digital and gamified approaches to writing. VES Määttänen is a media artist and teacher of digital arts from Helsinki. His interest is in manipulating reality through projected images, animation and light starting while studying writing design here at the Theatre Academy. He has done installations based on projections in galleries and light festivals. Finally, Heikkilä, who's working as a lecturer of digital technologies in performing arts here in the Uniarts and VES. So,
thank you. Shall we come here? So we have this sort of, we each have our own task. My task is to sit here. And should we?
Do I need a microphone? Am I heard? Can you hear me? Do I need a microphone? All right. Okay? Yes. Okay, so first I'm going to talk about 10 minutes about this project, I introduce it. It is, I'm acting as the voice for this collaborative now, but intersect if you have something to add, please. And after that we'll have a tiny little break, and then we are going to invite you to participate in a play test. It is an actual play test in that it has in this configuration never been tested before. So you're welcome. And then we have some time for discussing, your experiences, hearing your experiences of the play test, and then also to discuss the group, the proposal of the group or the questions arising from it. And with Joris, we just ended up in in a good place in a way with hybrid forms of art needing cross-disciplinary and multidisciplinary collaboration, and that's really kind of the focus of the group. So this group was convened last March in order to develop pedagogic approaches for cross-disciplinary work in the Theatre Academy, specifically to explore the intersection of theatre and live art with games and VR technologies. And it was convened by Jokke and Teemu, who already for several years have been developing pedagogy in new media here in VES, in Theatre Academy, and for instance have had the DVD, Digital Visual Design Advanced Intermediality Performance course, since 2016?
Yeah.
Maybe, yes.
Something like that.
Which were also, like you were, SC and your group were presenting last VES Seminar and the work that you made here. And then they invited Mikael, who's heard, you already heard the introduction, and myself, an actor who's working with technology, but without that kind of technological training or really properly pedestrian. So in that way, we're very cross-disciplinary in how to engage with these matters. And so a little bit of the background of why this was, why there was a call for this kind of development group. like this, the light and sound department obviously has already, like, historically, what we say, or by definition, addressing stage and performance through relations with technology. And so it makes sense that it starts here. Originally, this technology was designed for theatre, and then gradually, with digitization, the new tools arrived to actually, produce, not only produce, but also design, sketch, light and sound and video that then has become such a big part of visual design. And then, even more recently, the new technologies, new media like VR, AR, MR, XR, continue to kind of destabilize maybe what we think about with like liveness or performance, or really the boundaries of theatre and how it works. And this kind of pedagogy, kind of teaching, has been integrated in the coursework here, and yet, at the same time, even though these courses are open to the whole academy, there's not really that many students who come from other degree programs. So maybe from live arts, that we've had some students, but not that much from theatre, directing, acting, dramaturgy. And so there is already within this institution of UniArts, one can observe a gap between the disciplines in terms of like engaging with technologies as artistic mediums. So why is this a problem, or why would it be a problem? Well, first of all, it plays into an already very disciplined and both gendered divide for whom the technologies are legible, like who can operate with and through them, and it risks solidifying these attitudes into professional identities. And it also, which also came up, I think, in Joris's presentation, it positions technologies as tools, as operative tools rather than shared environments that can be worked with and through by all the artists who participate in the work. And so, in effect, this is a question of whose voices can be heard inside the technologies and through the technologies, and in whose image they are created in that way, and what kind of art can be made through them. And also a question of what happens, like the question of labor, really, like what happens when things are disciplined, like when we use these technologies as tools, there's another hierarchies can appear between. So the stakes in many ways are both political and artistic in these with these questions. So the purpose of this, you're behind me. Yes, good. So yeah, this sums up the why it is important for us to kind of meet and try to counteract these challenges. So the purpose of this group was to first play out a kind of creative transdisciplinary process with the affordances of VR technologies, both imitating or mirroring the kind of process that students face when they come together in order to better understand and guide the students through the challenges that might arise. And these challenges are, for instance, uneven distribution of knowledges and competence to operate with and through the technologies, which are also, again, come in gendered and discipline patterns. Like, for instance, in our group, how does one operate, as a maker, designer, artist through these disparities? When, for instance, in our group, this is already quite obvious that I don't have that kind of understanding of how to do the labor that Teemu and Jokke does. And at the same time, I might not have the same history in gaming, which might be a gendered issue. And yes, how do we meet, how do we operate, how do we recognize the differences, and how do we create work together? how to avoid disciplinary segregation, and how can specialty knowledges operate in shared and generative ways, which obviously goes in, in all ways, like when different disciplines come together, then how does the actor-led knowledge start to operate in the work we do together. Also, how do different kinds of logics of art making coexist with potential incongruities and frictions and clashes, but also generative tensions in these meeting points, so for instance games and performance art, computational logics and formal languages, natural language such as literature, and digital and analog art making. The slowness of the technologies, coding and developing, in relation to performance making in so-called analogous mode, and how do these different temporalities, how can they meet? For instance, how can we test systems out analogously, body storm things before it goes into the design process that happens within that kind of specific expertise. And also, what are the, and I think Andrea was touching on this and opening this really beautifully, what are the implicit assumptions written into the technologies and software, which are very much coming from and have been designed for gaming, very mainstream, very consumer-oriented, and how do these technologies guide us and prime us? What kind of choices do they accommodate easily, and what is kind of hidden, what is marginalized then? These are really the open questions that we do not have answers, but these are kind of the questions to kind of set into the space around. And so, also after this first process of going through such a creative, iterative process, we feel that also it might be easier to recognize the kind of uses and approaches in the technology that are more obvious, that things easily slide to, and then recognize what are the margins, what other things, what other choices can be made. Similar observation really to do with games. What concept of gaming, what idea of gaming becomes first when we think about games and theatre, and what other options there are. So maybe the first choices are often a bit obvious, and then you start to recognise the width of where to move. Yes, so these were the challenges. Other reason. What do we do? Sorry, I'm getting lost. So, to find ways to operate with, modify, and create in-between tools for the available tech. So that it's better made for, better lends itself to live art and theatre. Also because the tech is made for gaming. Particularly exploring, this was within the motivation of what we were set out to do, motion capture and spatial, physical and visual limitations of it, interaction between several performers with these within the VR or cross worlds, cross reality worlds, also interaction between audience and performers and the system. And also thinking dramaturgy and narration through the technological arrangements, thinking non-linearity, interaction and gamification, and also thinking performance through games, so exploring game mechanics and game design from the perspective and the context of performance and live art. The games have already been along with your data projects for the whole way, so it's been going along with you for years now. And to, in a pedagogical way, to arrive at generative restrictions in how the technology is used. So we played out a very wide process of really exploring everything that there was on the table, everything that was used, to find out what makes sense the most, how to limit it for than future pedagogic.
We use something like 2/3 of the time just to explore and try.
Yes. And then, well, how did we do this, and what came up from it? From the very beginning, our aim was to make playable performances, several rather than one, to try out different kinds of structures, to sketch really, but in a playable way. And we started by first really diving into games, exploring game styles, game mechanics, and dramaturgies by playing a lot and analysing what we played, and also designing. We had a board game workshop in which we designed a board game, and then experimenting from very early on also with translation from games to like spatial arrangements, from a board game to a body game, to in like how does this work as a performance in space? We use our bodies instead of like these bits on a board, and translating like game mechanics into performance mechanics that way. Also, playtesting was a method that you've already had along a lot, which is like in short iteration cycles and quickly mashing it together and then just trying it out, often in analogous mode. So it took quite long for us before we went even into the tech to get that feeling of making and recognizing through the making. And then through this process we started to recognize and then map interest areas, among which were, for instance, the interplay between virtual and physical worlds, so multisensory, augmented reality or cross-reality, and differences in spatial and digital writing compared to writing on two-dimensional page, so playing with spatial writing really, thinking about that. And then VR puppetry or acting in VR, with animations and motion capture, and also like interaction, dialogue within that world between audience, player, and performer, non-player character, and then combining live performance with pre-recorded animation, like clocking tools, and also keeping the idea of the outside audience with us from the beginning. And then playing with different kinds of styles and genres of games, so strategy, puzzle, LARP, sandbox, shooter games, trying to bring these in. And then we rounded these interests up into game sketches that we tried to develop into playable versions. Ended up working on 4 rooms or worlds, which all have as different as possible approaches to game and to these mixes of different realities. And now we would like to play test one of these with these sketches with you.
Yeah.
Sorry for the speed, I was just looking at the time going like, let's get through this fast. Would you like to say anything, or shall we take our 5-minute break?
Yes. Let's do a 5-minute break. We try to keep it 5 minutes, and then we will pick 5 of you which can take part of this playtest. We do the playtest. It takes, I don't know, never done this before. See how it goes. And then after the playtest, we'll have a little reflection from the players and of course from the audience, but we mainly listen as on that part. So we are not going to comment, and then we open the discussion, this general discussion. So now 5 minutes, and then let's continue. All right, 5 minutes has passed. We are ready for this. So I'll invite everybody to their seat, and how should we do this selection? Raise your hands. Who wants to take part? 1, 2, 3. for one more. We need. I did. One is. That'll come to the first book. We need one more. One. Okay. And since you were last, you can come first. You wait a second, and we do this one first. Dave can talk some nice stuff while we do this. See?
Unicorns and beautiful things and unicorns. Big. This is not hard, but showing a little spooky. What happened up there?
Okay, then the rest.
What's that? Oops.
I can take this. I just want to hear like this. Okay, and I need the rest. Join Mikael at the table.
So, you have one controller for each here.
Joo.
Se voi olla.
There you are. How is it?
It's fine.
Oh, good. Don't worry about me. I'm just a disembodied voice floating along. But it's nice to have company.
I bet.
Yeah. What do you see?
I see trees and a cloud
Oh,
and flowers and grass and I think the word is hay, but I'm not sure. Like these. I can't touch them.
yeah.
Blue
Is it-
sky.
Okay, but there's a cloud.
Yeah, there's a cloud.
Okay. Is it a rainy cloud?
It's not raining at the moment.
Do you think it will?
Not that soon, I guess, but it's quite thick and it's weird because it's kind of still.
Oh,
Yeah, but all the other stuff here is kind of like windy, but the
okay.
cloud is still.
Is it such a heavy cloud that even the winds don't move it?
I guess it might be.
What does it look like?
A bit like it has like crocodile face, but it looks like a toast, like a
A crocodile toast.
yeah.
Like an image of a image of a crocodile that appeared on a piece of toast.
More like
What's happened now?
there came a rainbow.
I feel strange joy in my heart. There's a rainbow.
Yeah, with a fanfare.
That doesn't sound bad.
No, it came kind of sudden, so that made it a bit, not bad, but like...
But it came from inside the crocodile cloud.
It came so fast that I didn't see where it came from, it just was there. But now it's kind of like fading away or like going further and further.
Behind, away.
Yeah, behind the trees.
How does a cloud look? Oh, it's so beautiful.
It is.
Yes. Is there more rainbows?
Yeah, one came again.
I was wondering about toast.
Yeah?
You said the cloud looked like toast.
Yeah, a bit. Kind of like the boxy shape.
Burnt. A box. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's like a square. Oh.
What
Now it's
happened?
raining.
Was it an angry cloud? Did it rain on you?
It's changed now.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
How is it now?
It's like a pig. Lying pig.
A lying pig.
Yeah.
Like, do you mean lying on its side or
On its stomach.
actually deceptive? A deceptive pig. Lying on its stomach.
Yeah.
Does it look relaxed?
A bit bored.
How?
Like.
How do you know?
Because my dog likes like this when it's bored.
How does it? How is it positioned? With its head on its feet?
No, kinda. Its feet are kind of like.
Does your dog like music?
It depends on where it's coming from. If it's coming from speakers, then he really doesn't mind it.
Okay.
But otherwise, he's really interested in like what's happening.
Yeah. I wonder what that pig cloud is thinking. The bored pig cloud. Can you tell?
Not really. I have no idea.
Does its shape not give you any suggestions?
No, it just gives me like it may be waiting something.
Maybe it was waiting for that,
Maybe.
like a divine sign. Oh,
Sky says me goodbye.
I guess I have to say goodbye too.
Bye.
Bye. It was nice talking with you.
You too.
I'm gonna keep floating away as a
Bye.
disembodied voice. Bye.
All right, thank you. So, let's run through setup. So I think we would like to now go around to hear first from you that were on the stage, were playing, we're playing out. Of course, we have live stream. You want to start? What do you? Anything?
Anything that I experienced in there?
Yeah. What was your feeling? What you thought? What was the experience like?
I felt really private because when I went there, most of you were still like having coffee and something, so I didn't really know. I realized that okay, probably at some point you focus on me since you were also watching the playtest, but I really didn't mind. It was you that was speaking to me, because you were kind of like whispering, and it felt it so that okay, we're just having this private conversation here in this really weird place. Yeah, kind of like having weird small talk in a place where there was always this rainbow coming and like, okay, just a little pause in a conversation and then never mind that and just continue whatever we were speaking. Yeah. That's like from now what I experienced. Yeah. Experienced. Yes.
Did you feel relaxed, like you were in a decent, quiet place, or was it too like hectic, or?
It was quite hectic, I feel. I think it was because of the contrasts of the colors in there. Yeah, the repeating rainbow didn't make me feel not relaxed, but because it was so bright, it was a sunny day, so sunny and all that, it kind of is it okay if I say it in Finnish?
Yeah.
Then you can translate. Yeah. Koska tuommoisella säällä on koko ajan jotenkin semmoinen olo, että mä voin tehdä koko ajan kaikkea ja siinä ei tule semmoista, että nyt mä jään vaan makaamaan, koska mulla oli, mä en tuntenut aurinkoa mun iholla kuitenkaan tai sitä lämpöä, vaan että mulla on talvivaatteet päällä ja näin, joten siinä ei tullut semmoinen aurinkopahteinen olo, vaan se oli vaan ikään kuin semmoinen energiaa tuova se ympäristö. Yeah.
Who wants to
So
translate?
to translate,
Yeah.
if I hear you wrong, but the weather felt like this is the kind of weather where you could do anything because it's not too hot, and so there's kind of lots of energy coming from the
like to compare to the grey weather at the moment out there, which is not giving me any energy. So yeah. But it was really nice, the chair that I could just sit there as if I wanted and not to have to stand or sit in a chair like that or something. Yeah.
Shall we hear from the
Yeah,
other?
Anybody from
Throw
the
it to S.
players from the company?
Well, it was very different for us. We were, Mia, you don't know this probably, we were working at this company trying to buy these cloud stocks. And the only way we could know which cloud to buy was by listening to your description of the clouds. So we were really frantically, in the small time we had, trying to find a crocodile-looking toast cloud. And we got it wrong. And we made a whole lot of non-profit for the company, and we got fired in the end. So we were really hectic, and it was hard to hear because you were all oh, it's what kind of a cloud? We can't hear, what kind is it? And we were pointing at the screen does that look like a crocodile to you? Don't speak, so I can't hear. So It was very hectic for us, and we got it wrong all the time.
Sorry.
It was horrifying. And I was kind of like, I sensed myself like, okay, I'm not getting mad at me, like, speak louder and describe the cloud. What does a toast look like? So that was very different. It was also kind of unclear, like, are we looking at the same cloud all the time? When the rainbow comes, what does it mean? Does the cloud change? But there was obviously a big contrast. We were trying to look for these clues of clouds in a not a very hectic world at all.
Yeah.
Well, yes, it's was weird and difficult, not easy at all. We were kind of just thrown into the situation and didn't really, well, yeah, we just didn't have any, like we were supposed to communicate with each other to like all decide on a cloud, but we weren't given any means of communication since speaking was a little bit of a bad way to communicate since we were trying to listen really closely what's happening and it was, at first it was really quiet and we didn't hear anything. Yeah, it was difficult, but and also kind of like, yeah, we just had to try. There was no way for us to ask for more directions or further description. We just had to go with what we got. So that was pretty much it. Yeah, and that also made it not so serious because, you know, we couldn't improve the description anyway. We just had to go with what was given.
Right, and interesting experience. I guess part of the fun in the game for us was to figure out what the rules are, because it was not clear at all, and maybe it's not yet fully clear to me either, even after playing the game. But that was part of the fun, trying to figure out what's going on, what are we supposed to do. Are we allowed to communicate by talking? Are we supposed to do it? And so on. The feeling you mentioned, sort of being playing a game but still being an outsider, sort of trying to tap into your discussion and then using that to inform us, that was a weird feeling. Sort of playing a game but still you are an outsider somehow.
Yeah, I also felt it a little bit stressful. You had a small bar showing you time is running out, and it took a while to figure out that we're supposed to do it as a team, and working as a team together really hard, and you have to listen to instructions at the same time. So yeah, you were like thrown into it without knowing really what to do. But you do figure it out after a short while, and then the game is bankrupt.
How about the audience? What did you see and experience? Any comments from the audience?
Well, I could start, of course, I think it's kind of default in my head that I'm looking at everything as a performance or possible performance, and it was very easy to look as a performance. And for me, I don't mind, I understand it because the unclearness might be like stressful, but for me it was purely enjoyable and fun, and I didn't need the information of why are you doing audit. I was just looking as a collection of functions or relationships, and the clear division was this kind of this strange stock exchange group in the background, and then this also weird dialogue between here in the front, like why is she whispering and who is she above, some kind of a God-like or spirit kind of a thing who is commenting and suggesting and I was still reading all this part as that there is some kind of agenda. There is agenda which is softly presented and guiding, and then there is these kind of observations. For me, I was looking at as already some kind of a performative happening. Somebody else.
What I found interesting, like I didn't look, it was like the last cloud that we were looking at, I realized that, oh, there's the amount of money that we have left, that there is this like, that we have this amount that we have to use. But I didn't think of that at all. I only thought that, okay, I have to figure out which cloud it is that she's talking about, and that the reward will be something else than the black screen and the music going like, oh no, you messed up. So I was mostly interested in like finding out what the reward is for getting it right. I was thinking like, what if there was like, and we were kind of given a small character, like, okay, now you are working in a cloud company. So kind of like, what if I had more at stake? Like, how could I have more at stake? Like, so that, is it actual money? Do I like put 20 euros in when I participate? Like, how high would the stakes have to be for me to like go to Mia and say like, Mia, talk louder, or like, you know, yell at her like, describe the cloud, or like, what does it take? Like, if we put her in a big box, like a soundproof box, what does it take for me to go and knock on it, like, describe the cloud? Like, it would be really interesting, like, how high do you have to set the stakes, the money, for me, like, personally, to make it matter?
Well, I was just thinking, it just crossed my mind that I kind of wanted to be the one with the VR glasses. Like when I was playing, I just realized like the contrast, like it's the same game we're playing, but in different roles, and that the other one is just like I, after listening to her experience, I was just like, maybe I would have just wanted to look at clouds in this way instead of trying to make some corporation more richer. Yeah, and just like there's two sides of this game, and only one gets to play the kind of the relaxing and maybe fun part, at least from my experience.
There was a couple of microphone.
I felt really interested from the outside that the relationship between the company and the person who's in the clouds is like they are enemies or opposites. Since when the company wins, Mia gets rain, and when the company fails, Mia gets the rainbow and everything's nice. So you didn't probably understand that from the inside.
No.
Yeah, that you were mortal enemies.
Can I respond to that?
Because how the yeah, it's fun. How it actually felt was that the rainbow, because it was pretty loud and it felt kind of violent. So the rain was actually feeling better for me inside there than the rainbow. So in that case, we were kind of actually on the same side, as in my experience. But yeah.
No.
Yeah, but so two things. Other one is about this. I think this is interesting how much this helmet thing creates privacy. Well, as you described it now, and as it was this this one piece with the choir, that yes, exactly the people who never would sing in front of others straight away, but how much you are, how fast and how easily you are ready to give, take this privacy and give out your protection, and also the question how easily it would be used, and how careful you probably have to be with that. And that's because there's things like, did you think or did you personalize whether we, because we had the picture of your, I suppose it was the one, at least the way you reacted, that we were seeing all the time what you see, and we were hearing all the time your discussion. So I think that's always, or at the same time confusing that you don't question. Why, once you are there inside, you don't stop questioning your privacy. Yeah. But the other thing is about these rules, because like if you say you were all the time thinking what would be the extreme moment when you start to ask, or when you start to communicate and ask her to describe, or you speak louder, or there was no rules. Absolutely, I in the audience also, I never was questioning this, that who denied you to communicate? And why wouldn't you start like, hey, easy game. Take for a while that helmet off and tell us which cloud it was. And, but it's quite. Was it how much it was your on purpose, or how much you were playing with these things while making the test?
You mean
this
actual?
Yeah.
Well, we didn't touch anything. We just let it run now, because it was sort of a pre-programmed to work game. Logic was like this.
But I mean, like when planning and making are these part of this your thing, or are they just coming up, or how much have you been?
I think there's like small stuff that's coming up now that's kind of interesting, kind of related to the levels of brightness and the levels of sound that are kind of technical things that are popping up out of this playtest. There's many things that I'm really glad to hear that we kind of wanted there to be. For example, the kind of the juxtaposition of the person on the chair and the cloud pink players, that they're kind of opposite each other, and you picked up that nicely. It wasn't really subtle, but it's nice that you picked up the not so subtle clues.
Yeah, and the leaking of the data, the privacy, and
leaking of the data, and the kind of the cocooning of the VR player, and there's kind of, I think most of the stuff is stuff that, oh my god, is stuff that we did kind of more like hoped that it would be there, because it is a game. So for us this was completely a playtest in that sense, that we really kind of didn't know that would those things be as strongly there as I think they were now. We have playtests in like a couple of times with smaller groups of people, but there was kind of nicely things in there. Olli wants to say something.
I just want to I mean, the idea of in a way, the betrayal or the leak, that her privacy is being, leaked and used, that was there. But the idea that the players could ban against this, banned against the system, which you suggest, or like you suggest also, which I think is fantastic. We never thought of that. We never thought that it would be a possibility that the players would actually recognize the system for what it is and join forces and sort of like band against us by just waking up the VR player and saying, we're playing this game. And that's fantastic. I really love that. So if this was to be developed forward, that's something I would keep that with.
Yeah. Oh! Yeah, I think this, because kind of back to yesterday where we were talking about this kind of emergence and systems that would allow for kind of wider use than they were designed for, so that the sets of rules and the system would allow for kind of misuse and stuff that would expand it, and that would be really awesome. And things like that players kind of band together against the system and start abusing it are really kind of interesting ideas, and maybe kind of for us to maybe think that could we maybe encourage it in some way. How could we kind of hint that there is this possibility of doing whatever, but it's also a question in technical sense. How do we make a game that doesn't, fail and break at that time? Because if you can do anything, it's really hard to, write C# code that would just do stuff. If you just do stuff, you would just have to write do stuff. If do stuff, then do stuff. Solved, Jokke, that's the code you need.
I'm confused whether it was the purpose to be a performance, because indeed, if I look from an audience perspective, I have completely different needs and rules than if you would see it as if a game that you participate in, and then breaking the rules is the first thing I try to do in games, but I wouldn't do it if people are watching. So there's this idea of audience and spectatorship that enforces also certain behavior. It's also dependent on the personality of the person. So I'm curious whether you designed it as a performance or as some sort of game system for people to experience multiple perspectives.
I think that's an interesting question about the kind of Teemu was mentioning about emergence or emergent pieces, and I think it was for us it was quite obvious and clear from the almost the beginning that we would have these few components, one of which is more private, one of which is more public, and that there is some sort of agent in between. And when we have these sort of components, we can just start developing them and see, especially through playtestings, how they start to create emergence in between, and then try to answer the questions that they pose, I think.
Yeah, I can continue a little bit on your question. Is that I don't think we thought about at this point too much about the audience yet. That was something that we just a little bit because of this VES thing we thought about, because this is the whole big picture is this one part of multiple games, multiple scenes, and that will also how we will establish that, and how we will how that unfolds the wholeness what's in our head. That will also that will tell how to what is the relation between, for example, this scene, this play, this scenario to the audience, because this is just as said, it's a little part of the bigger picture, which is, and this is a playtest of little thing, so that's why we cannot get the full idea how the audience and this would interact, I think. Okay.
Just kind of on the same subject, I think it's a really interesting question. What kind of rules does this audience actually kind of bring in onto the gaming situation? I think that's really, really interesting. And now we saw some kinds of reactions, for example, that people don't start to break the game or actually start to test that. What happens if I do this, if I push different buttons or something like that. So people start to perform on the stage because they are being watched. And we are using kind of all of a sudden we're using the kind of rules of theater. So we are making pacts that, okay, now we are kind of in a theater situation, playing games, and there's this kind of hybrid, interesting thing maybe happening. I don't know. I don't have an answer. I'm just kind of thinking that I think it's a kind of interesting situation. I heard laughter from the audience, which was nice. So they were kind of. I thought that in a sense, at least for me, it felt that there was space for the audience to be in, so that you had something to see and you had something to react to, and you kind of could follow. But those relationships between kind of the audience and the players, that's all kind of a completely different game that we really haven't.
I was thinking what would happen if I would be a stockholder of the company. So
as an audience member.
As an audience member. So so it's about thinking, and this is very like.
I'm writing it
down. It's about how do I relate to what I'm seeing, and now I was just observing, and to me, because I'm just observing, and don't get me wrong, but I couldn't care less what the rules are. I don't care about the company. I don't care about what she's going through, but I see a tragic display of people being trapped in the system.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So for me, there's a whole different layer to what I'm looking at, and it makes me think of a director, a Flemish director called Chris Verdonk, and he's a director, and he once said in a public speech, "I don't direct actors. I design systems, worlds in which actors have to survive." Which in his early work he did. He built contraptions where actors basically had to survive, basically. And we would witness that, which was beautiful to watch, terrible to do. But so it makes me think of these kind of questions, like are you now designing an environment in which people have to survive, and in that you're staging that tragedy almost.
Yeah.
And I think we need to go to the wrapping up part, but perhaps I could comment this. I can turn this or take a perspective of knowledge and also that how this experiment is producing knowledge. And apparently there is this kind of like you are studying this kind of this what happens within the game and this game like situation, but this is also now a question of is giving knowledge of how the audience is relating to it actually. So it's like and this in a demonstration and presentation these two layers and perspectives are entangled in a way. They are like hand in hand in a way. It's not only that we are only observing a scientific test or some kind of genetic scenario, but this is as we experience it as a performance, and then it's also starting to produce not only the information what for example what Mia was experiencing inside or the stock market players, but also how we are experiencing it, like when watching it outside, when witnessing it.
Yes, and also I think this is kind of leading back to the ramifications implication or title or the scope of the whole seminar, if we are then thinking, so we have this like layer of knowledge, but also we have active here is like this data extraction in the sense that you have these different controllers which are then making some things happen, and then there is also this kind of informatic layer, so that you have this like linguistic information which is then informing the players there for their like actions, but which is also kind of enforcing them to create this labor in order for this system or this apparatus to operate. And also then you have this layer of linguistic information also in this like discussion, which is interesting when it's brought into this context, because it's so vague and it's so difficult to translate or interpret in a sense that what was the cloud that she's meaning, which is so that you have these different layers that are interacting, and then you have also the score or the like the game mechanics there, which is also some kind of layer, perhaps below the knowledge or something else, and then they are kind of leaking into each other, so that you have these like streams of data which are then like manifesting themselves from some other layer. And also, as you were saying, they are trapped in this world, so that there is also this like power structure here, so that this is like a really like enlightening experiment in that sense, that it's kind of making visible or tangible or somehow sensible the kind of the ideas that we were like chasing in making this like this seminar take place. And it's like really good ending in that sense, because this is so rich in these different streams going like that, and producing or provoking these different events which are again creating some streams which are then again streaming to something else.
So perhaps we thank all the presenters now.